All right, let's dive into a really fascinating story out of Bangladesh. It's all about how one single legal document, something born out of a crisis, totally flipped the script on a standard rental agreement. We're talking about turning a simple lease into a valuable, sellable asset for hundreds of shopkeepers. It's a wild ride.
So it really all comes down to this one big question, right? How on earth does a landlord's problem, their financial trouble, somehow become the source of a tenant's power? I mean, it sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But believe me, that is exactly what went down at the Gulshan supermarket.
Okay, so before we get to the big change, you got to understand what things were like before. Let's look at the old system. And for the tenants, the rules were, well, simple and super strict. Basically, there was no way out.
And the key here was just how consistent this was. I mean, look at the agreements from '84 and '88. The language is totally ironclad. It says right there, black and white. Tenants cannot transfer, sublet, or hand over their shop to anyone, period. And if you even thought about trying, the penalty was swift and severe. You'd be evicted, just like that. Your business, your investment, all of it just gone.
So you have to wonder, right? What in the world could be powerful enough to shatter these rock-solid rules? Well, you might be surprised. It wasn't some big tenant rebellion. Nope. It was the landlord's own financial crisis.
See, the whole system really balanced on one single promise. If a tenant wanted to leave, the landlord was supposed to refund their security deposit. Simple enough. But when it actually came time to pay up, the landlords just didn't have the money. And that one little problem, that one point of failure, created this huge logjam, but also, and this is the crazy part, it created a massive opportunity.
So now you've got this stalemate, right? Tenants are stuck, they can't leave and get their money back. The landlord is broke, they can't pay. Nobody can move. The solution they came up with? It was this really brilliant piece of legal thinking, a brand new exit strategy that would literally change everything.
And this solution had a name, the Aposhna Mama. It basically means a settlement agreement. Now let's be clear, this wasn't just some tiny little tweak to the rules. Oh no, this was a full-on legal document that was about to fundamentally rewrite the entire relationship between the landlord and the tenants, forever.
Okay, so the big question is, how did this apashnama actually work? Like, what were the mechanics that gave tenants this escape hatch that they never ever had before? Let's break it down.
It's this really clever 5-step process. So, first, a tenant says, okay, I'm leaving, and gives their 30-day notice. Now, the clock is ticking for the landlord. If the landlord can't come up with that security deposit, the Jamaat, within those 30 days, and everyone knew they couldn't, that's the trigger. Boom. The tenant suddenly gets a brand new power. The right to find their own replacement. They go find a new buyer, they get their deposit money paid directly to them by the new person, and, now get this is the most important part, the landlord has to accept the new tenant, no choice.
And the real muscle behind this whole agreement came from this one specific legal phrase in Bengali, Badia Thakiben. It means legally obligated to comply. I mean, there's just no wiggle room there. The landlord's approval wasn't optional anymore. It was a mandate. That single phrase is what gave the Apashonama its teeth.
You know, this whole system of direct payment was just a masterstroke. It was brilliant because it completely sidestepped the landlord's cash problem. The person leaving got their money back right away, but not from the landlord who didn't have it. They got it from the new person coming in. It was a win-win. The old tenant wasn't out of pocket, and the new tenant could then start fresh with their own contract with the landlord. Now, this new system, it did way more than just solve a temporary cash flow problem. This wasn't just a quick fix. It fundamentally and permanently changed what it even meant to be a tenant at the Gulshan market.
And it's really important to get this. This wasn't some temporary addendum or a little note in the margins. No, the Apashanama was explicit. It said it was replacing those old restrictive rules from the 1988 contract. So these new rights to transfer your lease, they became the new law of the land for this market, period.
This timeline really puts it all into perspective. Before 1992, you had 0 rights to transfer your shop. After 1992, with the Apashnama, you suddenly had this conditional right. But here's the real kicker, the part that made it permanent. In 1994, even when the original lease term was up, the agreement was written to carry forward. It was designed to lock in these rights for any and all future contracts. It was genius.
So what was the end result of all this? Well, what started as a simple rental agreement, just a lease, was transformed into something so much bigger.
It became this transferable, almost ownership-like asset. I mean, for the very first time, tenants had something they could actually control, something they could sell, and something they could profit from. It basically turned them into a whole new class of small-scale property investors overnight.
And that leaves us with a really powerful idea to chew on, doesn't it? The story of the Apashnama just goes to show how a small, clever tweak to the rules, something that came about because it had to, can unlock an insane amount of value in places you'd never expect. And it kind of makes you wonder, what other hidden assets are just sitting around in our own systems, just waiting for one little change in the rules to unlock them?